plus or minus 2 minutes here now, so I'm going to go ahead and kick this off. I'm Steve Bloomer. I'm Vice President for Development and College Relations here at Monmouth College. I'm a 1982 commissionee through ROTC here. I'm a 1983 graduate. I've been at Monmouth for 10 years. This is one of my very favorite weekends of the entire year. We get to welcome back some of our most accomplished, distinguished alumni, and we get to enjoy time on campus together, renew memories, renew friendships, reflect at the end of each day on what we experienced earlier in the day, what we experienced in our lives. It is an absolutely magical weekend. We are supposed to miss the rain, but capture some of the heat. I know you do. We're a little short for the farmers in the area right now, so right. So I have the opportunity to make an introduction for our guest speaker, and I'm going to get right into that so we don't dig too much into her time. In 1996, 24-year-old Teri M served at Monmouth College for 1 year.
For like 1 year, that was Thursday.
Right. She was a chaplain intern. Dean Jackie Connon, who just is retired as our long-term Dean of Students, worked to bring her here. Today, as an ordained Presbyterian minister, the Reverend Dr. Teri M is back at Monmouth as the full-time college chaplain, overseeing a robust spiritual life program and directing the innovative Lux program for church and religious leadership. After receiving her Master's of Divinity degree from Louisville Presbyterian Theological Seminary, she served the church in a variety of positions, most recently as the pastor of Cameron Presbyterian Church in Cameron, North Carolina. In 2008, she completed her Doctor of Ministry degree from McCormick Theological Seminary. She began serving Monmouth College as chaplain in January of 2011. Teri is married to the Reverend Dr. Daniel J. Ott. They have 2 young children, Isaac and Ella. Welcome, Dr. Reverend Ott.
It's so good to see you all. I'm on a mic mostly. Tell me if it's too loud. It's a little too loud. Sometimes I get excited. I don't want to be yelling at you, but we worked it out because they're recording this and for history or whatever. But it just makes me more nervous, right? But this is one of my favorite times of the year too. We love you, Golden Scots. You're so enthusiastic. Our students aren't like this, They come to our programs dressed in their pajamas, drooling, But we just love this time and time to share with you and remember with you. And now some of you I've seen, I know from in the community and from my traveling, and some of you were here 5 years ago, right? And are celebrating another reunion. And I don't know if I gave this presentation 5 years ago, but we've made some progress, done some more things. So you have to bear with me on some of the old material. But a couple new things. First, I want to tell you why I'm holding a little photo of John Calvin. This is so funny, you all. So Bob and Lee Ardell, their daughter, who I only know their daughter because I know Bob and Lee, because she's a Presbyterian pastor, and she's hilarious. And so we connected on Facebook. But she's a pastor of Presbyterian Church, John Knox Presbyterian Church, and they're celebrating the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. So they said Bob and Lee with flat John Calvin to see where he goes on the trip, and how perfect that he's coming to our presentation where we're talking about the Presbyterian heritage of Monmouth College. So he's like my co-presenter, and I'm glad he'll be quiet because I got a lot to say. And I also want to introduce, this is the Reverend Jessica Hawkinson. Just stand up, Jessica. I'm going to talk more about her in a minute. But Jessica is our new associate chaplain. She just started November 1st, still kind of getting a feel for things. There's a lot happening that I'll tell you about in a little bit, but it's been super wonderful to have Jessica on board now as an associate chaplain. So that said, so my my presentation, what was it called, like Sit Lux, something about the light and the Presbyterian, yeah, okay. So we're going to start with a story. So when I came back to Monmouth to be chaplain, so it's been 6 years now, the Board of Trustees at the time and President Maury Ditzler really wanted the college to reclaim its Presbyterian affiliation. And they sort of gave me that charge, like, help us make this happen. And that was one of the things that really attracted me to this position. There's not many Presbyterian church-related colleges that really want to make that move. This was unique, and I said, I'm interested in that. I'm all for waving the Presbyterian flag, and so I said, so let's do that. So, we had to come up with language and how to educate the community about what it means to be a Presbyterian church-related college. And one of the first things we started with was this story. So, and I have to tell you this. So, President Ditzler was walking around campus with a campus architect surveying all the campus grounds. And as you've seen, things have changed, right? And they walked up to the top of Wallace Hill, right before you go. You didn't have stairs, I know. You just slid down that hill when you were here. But liability, we got to, put some things in like stairs now. But so they got to that top of the Wallace Hill, and the architect turns to President Ditzler and says, well, what did you do with the river? And President Ditzler says, well, how did you know that there used to be a river here? Now you all, because you are historians of this place, you knew that at one time there was a river that flowed through campus and that shaped our landscape, that years ago we diverted to underground tunnels and to give us more land and more space to grow and expand. So that river is still there, but it's flowing underneath the campus. And so President Ditzler was just so in awe that this man with a trained eye could tell that there was a river here that shaped our landscape. And so what we've done is we've started to refer to that river as a metaphor for our Presbyterian affiliation, our Presbyterian heritage. Water is a symbol of life in the Christian tradition. It was those founding Presbyterians that gave Monmouth College its life. And it shaped us. They shaped us. They shaped who we are. They shaped our values. But it shouldn't just take a trained eye to see that and to notice that. And so our goal has been really how to make that Presbyterian heritage and Presbyterian affiliation have more of a public presence on campus, educate what it means to be a Presbyterian church-related college in the 21st century, and show how who we are has really been shaped by this river that's flowing underneath us, okay? So we've done that in a lot of different ways over the past 6 years. First we had to answer this question, okay? I'm actually a member of the Presbyterian College Chaplains Association, and a few years ago, the Presbyterian Church USA, the denomination, asked our group to answer this question for all Presbyterian church-related colleges. Can you come up with a statement that will help define who all of us are? And this is the statement that we came up with. Because we are Presbyterian led, and there's like 67 Presbyterian church-related colleges across our country. Because we are Presbyterian related, our institutions value learning, faith, service, and a connection to each other, the church, and the world, honoring the dignity and worth of every person. Okay? One thing important to note about this that we made sure it was in this order was that learning comes first. It was important for us to acknowledge that colleges are not the church, and we can't be the church for people. We are a mission of the church. And so it was important to distinguish in the statement that education is our primary mission as a college. And so that's why learning came first. But then every Presbyterian church-related college then has to kind of come up with their own story, their own way of bringing to life, or the pieces of the Presbyterian story that they lift up on each campus. And you'll see on each Presbyterian campus it's done differently, or it's not done at all, okay? here at Monmouth College, this is how we're telling our Presbyterian story. We talk about how Presbyterians are ecumenical. This is not the Church of Jesus Christ. This is a Church of Jesus Christ. And so we really are all about honoring other Christians, other churches, other traditions. And Presbyterians have always been known to be bridge builders and to reach out in communion with other Christians and other churches. So we're very ecumenical here at Monmouth College. Presbyterians have this motto that we are reformed and always reforming. So we're from the Calvinistic Reformed Christian tradition. That's part of our branch in the Christian tree. We're from the Reformed tradition. But we say that we are reformed and always reforming because it's an open tradition. We don't believe that God worked only in the past with John Calvin and John Knox and then stopped working. God's Spirit is still moving in the world today. We're still learning, we're still growing, we're still evolving as people of God. And so it's important to understand that the Presbyterian tradition is an open tradition. So we respect our history, we respect where we've been, but we are always looking forward to where we're going with God. We appreciate diversity in the Presbyterian Church. And that falls in line with our ecumenical nature and how we're always trying to reach out to others. And it also goes down to education as a priority, because you can't have good education if you don't have diverse voices in the room. If everybody sounds and says like you and looks like you and thinks like you, you're just getting educated in a vacuum, right? So diversity is especially important in the classroom. Here at Monmouth, we really pull out this piece of Presbyterianism that's an emphasis on social righteousness, which is a big churchy word that defines our sense of mission as Presbyterians. Our sense of mission is not to make everyone here at Monmouth College a Presbyterian. Our sense of mission is to make the world right, to make society right, and to do good things in the world. Presbyterians in 58, 53, founded Monmouth College because they knew that a liberal arts college in this rural community at the time out in the prairie would help lift up this society and this community. So it's about doing good in the world. That's our sense of mission, social righteousness, and we're really big about that here at Monmouth. Education is important. You know, we're all heady people, us Presbyterians, big books, you know. We just love our education, and that's also why Presbyterians founded colleges all across the country. And then finally, we were just so connectional as Presbyterian, and that's the piece that I've always said in reclaiming our Presbyterian affiliation can really serve us as a college, because Jessica and I can call the Presbyterian down in New Orleans and say, hey, we want to come and do some mission work there, or take some students there, and they say, hey, you know, we'll make it work out. Or we can call our Presbyterian friends in Washington, D.C. and say, hey, we want to visit you and learn about what we do in terms of political advocacy work and on the Hill. And they'll say, come, we've got programs, we'll plug you in. We're so connectional. It's always been a part of who we are as Presbyterians. And so that's another thing that we really value and really helps us as a Presbyterian church-related college. Okay? So that's the Monmouth Presbyterian story we're telling. Okay, but then what do we do on campus to make sure everybody here is aware of our Presbyterian affiliation? Well, first we have our really growing, thriving Presbyterian Scholar Program. Now, if you don't know, I want to tell you, and I want you to tell others, that we currently offer the largest Presbyterian scholarships in the entire nation, okay? So the student that comes, Presbyterian student that comes, they interview for this scholarship, they can earn, combined with their academic scholarship, they can earn up to $28,000 a year towards their education at Monmouth College. And then when they're here, they're put through this amazing program that we've developed where we take them on a retreat and they go and climb trees and stuff. Jessica gets to do this in the fall. She's so excited. And we take them on trips. This is a trip to D.C. where we visited Dick Durbin's office, and did some political advocacy work. We take them to conferences and we put them in t-shirts that say, ask me about Presbyterian scholars at Monmouth College, because we want more of them. See, they just kind of put up with me. But we have this whole program that we're recruiting Presbyterians here because, you know, and all of this really is because we want to be a gift to the church. I really believe that our church-related colleges should, you know, we owe those founders something, and the church, frankly, is not doing that great right now. We owe it to our churches to equip young people for service in the church. And so that's what all of this is about, too, as well as just making everybody aware at Monmouth College that we're Presbyterian related. We have also brought in all sorts of Presbyterian leaders, again, showing our community what it means to be Presbyterians. And we've been so fortunate. We've brought in the best Presbyterian preachers, and you know, and Presbyterians are good preachers, and the best leaders that are Presbyterian. Roger Nishioka was here. He's one of the nation's best preachers. Rick Ufford Chase was here. He was one of our denomination's moderators. Dr. Lewis Galloway was just here. He's the pastor of 4,000 member Second Presbyterian Church in Indianapolis. You know where Peyton Manning goes. And we've had J. Herbert Nelson here on a Martin Luther King event. J. Herbert, if you don't know, is now at the highest elected official of the whole denomination. He's our stated clerk. Margaret Amer is a New Testament professor now at Austin Theological Seminary. She brought the house down at baccalaureate. And then there's my personal hero, John Buchanan, was here. He was a retired pastor from Fourth Presbyterian Church in Chicago, 5,000 member church. So these are our flagship church preachers. We're bringing them to Monmouth College. Our Presbyterian scholars get to meet and have lunch with all of these people. And the whole community gets to see a face of Presbyterianism at its very best. And I have to tell you, I'm kind of like a screaming fangirl when all these people are here, because they're like my heroes. I love it. Like, okay, so this is me and John Buchanan. Like, I was just like, I'm hanging out with John Buchanan, right? I couldn't believe it. It was just like a dream come true. So we just kind of spent the whole time. I was just giddy the whole time. Okay, we also, I don't know if you noticed, that we have a Presbyterian House on campus that is supposed to get a facelift this summer, in case you're wondering. We're going to get some paint slapped on that thing. But every Sunday from 4 to 6, this is really the hub for religious and spiritual life on campus now. Students live there, but then every Sunday from 4 to 6, we host a dinner and devotion program. We're kind of known for our food. See, we really feed them well. And then we have, so we eat, and then we have this really good because we're Presbyterians, so we got to use our heads. And we have some deep conversations about pressing social issues, how do we as people of faith engage the world. We talk about everything, and I always tell them now, what did you always want to talk about in church but you never could? And let's make a list, and we're going to talk about it here, because it's college times, folks. But and then this is like my favorite. We were so excited, and I just got in a little trouble for this, because apparently we're not supposed to have dogs on campus. But, you know, ask for forgiveness, not permission. We had a dog party at the end of the year at the Presbyterian House, where it just so happened that all the faculty and staff, we invited them to come with their dogs. And this is the best end of the year stress reliever for our students. Let me look at, we had greyhounds, we had chihuahuas, we had Pepper the one-eyed dog. It was a blast. And we had great food. So we have a great time, and it's a really growing program. We have like 20 to 40 students coming every Sunday to the Presbyterian House. So another Presbyterian thing. But we're not just here for the Presbyterian students. We're certainly not. This is about spreading the light for our whole campus community and beyond, and serving the church. And so we're all about the Lux here in religious spiritual life. You remember in Doll Chapel, Sit Lux is over the arch, right, from Genesis 1:3, let there be light. And so for the whole campus community, we're always lifting up our Presbyterian values. We have chapel services every Monday over the noon hour. We're on Monday because we're not in competition with any churches in the community. We love our churches. We want our students to go to those churches. So we have a good community, and it's great. It's faculty, staff, and students that come to chapel every Monday, and there's a real sense of community there. We have special worship services throughout the year. We have a really special Christmas convocation. I have to gear up for my Christmas sermon early in November. I try to start singing Christmas carols like in November 1st, because ours is on like December 2nd is our Christmas celebration. But it's a very traditional Christmas candlelight and communion service. And now, what you need to understand that's different from when you came to college and our students today is we have students today, this is the most non-churched, unaffiliated generation of young people we've ever had. Many of them have never been to a Christmas Eve candlelight and communion service. And we invite them to this, and this is fuzzy because it's dark, and they get it. People think that young people aren't tuned into religion or just are religiously averse, but they're not. You show them the beauty of the ritual, and you show them the depth of the tradition, and they get it, and they plug in. And so, again, this is us doing our job for the church. We want to show these young people what the church has to offer. Ash Wednesday service, we had a very special, I feel like I plugged this in here today. So Jessica was ordained here as a minister of Word and Sacrament into her position here as associate chaplain. I don't know that we've had an ordination service in Dall Chapel, so we're just going to say that you were the first, and because we don't know of any other. It's historic. But it was also beautiful. And here's another opportunity for our students to see, because frankly, it's not. There's all you can go online and get ordained as a minister now for $50. You know that. But in the Presbyterian Church, it's still a long haul and a hard process, and it's really important for our students to see that that's a part of our tradition. That you have to pass all those ordination exams and get that MDiv degree and pass your psychological evaluation. Very important, right? You don't want your insane pastor types. Okay, so I know we've all met them, haven't we? You got to pass those psych exams before you get in charge of people. Like, please. So anyways, this was a super beautiful moment for us in March. And then our baccalaureate service at the end of the year is our real premier worship moment. We filled Dall Chapel. This is our spiritual sending for our graduates. The seniors help us plan the service. There's all sorts of creative music, dance, performances. Again, we bring in the best preachers in the nation, and it's just extraordinary. So here I come to something called the Lux Center for Church and Religious Leadership. And to start telling you about this, because this has really evolved over so it's really been 4 years now for the Lux Center. And it began with, so my husband Dan, that Steve mentioned in my intro, is here as a professor of religious studies. And when we were contemplating the move from North Carolina to Illinois in the middle of December, like, is this a good idea? We're thinking, how cool would it be if this college that wants to reclaim its Presbyterian affiliation could really develop something that would really be of service and of use to churches in the world, especially with the where we are with young people today and how they're unaffiliated. And so even before we got here, my husband, he's kind of a visionary, he scratched out this mission statement on a napkin. He said, what if we could do this at Monmouth College? And he scrapped out the mission is the Lux Center to nurture and equip students to be servant leaders who are spiritually enlightened, globally engaged, socially responsible, and vocationally driven, so they can meet the unique challenges of the church and the religious leadership in the 21st century. Okay? So we came up with that mission statement, and then development was really great to us and got us in front of some friends and alums of the college, and it didn't take long before we got this incredibly generous seed gift of $100,000 from a donor who wisely said, take this, split it up over 4 years, see what you can get started. and which was kind of amazing, because like I had this tiny little budget, I was doing everything, and then boom, I had like, oh my gosh, what can we do? And so I'm going to tell you kind of what we've been doing over the 4 years. So first of all, there's 3 arms. I know you got a little handout of the Lux Center. The 3 arms of the Lux Center are the church and religious leadership, global engagement and social justice, theology, and the liberal arts. So you see the emphasis on social righteousness, and you see the emphasis on education, right? That we're pulling out from the beginning, the Presbyterian story here. And all of our programs through the Lux Center have fallen under these 3 arms. I think you have more detail there. Okay, so in the first 4 years, this is what we've done through the Lux Center. I got great graphics for this. Here we go. Flying in. So we've had 14 students serve as Lux leadership interns. That means that they have been hired to work with the chaplain's office to get a real full ministry experience. And this is not just students who want to go into ministry. These are just students that are also going to be just great leaders for the church. And they get worship leadership experience. They get to give a chapel message. They get to lead the programs at the Presbyterian House. They get to lead public prayer at huge events. They get all sorts, they climb trees, because we come up with these crazy ideas to put prayer banners in a tree in the winter. We're like, okay, you guys can do that. Okay, so it's like other duties as assigned, right? But they have a really rich experience. They work like 10 hours a week for us, and they serve as our staff, and they have goals. They also each have a project that they work on throughout the year, so we ask them what they're passionate about doing, and it ends up expanding everything we do from our office, because each intern takes on a project. Like, I want to lead a Bible study, or I want to lead a group just for the Presbyterian scholars, and they go and they do these things. So we've had 14 students go through the program. We now have a Presbyterian scholarship program. We were just talking about this. I'm going to name it the most prestigious in the nation. I mean, it really is. I have a little spy at one of the other colleges, and I know what they do, and we're definitely better. No, it was not that one. This is the one my niece went to. So, no, we have this great program where, and it's really because we got another amazing gift of $200,000 from Marilyn Reinhardt to endow this piece of the Lux Center, and through that amazing gift, we're able to take our scholars on trips and conferences, bring these leaders to campus, run everything we run out of the Presbyterian House. You'll see in one of the pictures you saw. The program goes, the more active they are, they're on like a little point system. So the more active they are, the more Presby points they earn. And then the more Presby points they have, the more Presby perks they get. So, and we call them our Presby peeps. And anyways, it could go on and on. But then they earn, if they earn 40 points, they get their Presbyterian Scholar blazer, and then they get a Presbyterian Scholar fleece, and they get the opportunity to have lunch with J. Herbert Nelson and John Buchanan. And you have to understand, these folks, a lot of them are from small churches in Illinois, and this is blowing their minds. So this is just an amazing piece that we're super excited about. We offer yearly dinners, retreats, speakers on vocational discernment. This is not just for our students. This is all for faculty and staff. We've run vocation circles and vocation dinners, and take them off a retreat for them to help discern, what can, not just what can I do in this life, but what am I meant to do? What am I feeling called by God to do with my life? And it's a whole different framework, right? It's not just about getting your degree to get a job, but it's about finding your purpose in life. And so those are some of the things we offer. We brought notable religious leaders to campus, such as Eboo Patel was here a few years ago, who, if you don't know who he is, Google him, he's everywhere. He's the premier interfaith leader now in the nation. Massimo Pigliucci, I practice that, he's a scientist philosopher who's really one of the leaders in the voice on the religion and science issue and debate. So he was fantastic, and J. Herbert Nelson, of course, was here. We have fully funded 4 alternative spring break trips for our students. It's important that you see the fully funded part, because our students these days, they come, every dime they have is going towards tuition. I was shocked when I took them on retreat one year, my first year here, and I said, hey, let's stop at Steak and Shake and grab some lunch, and they were like, well, I don't have cash for that. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, I'll buy you lunch. But I mean, it's like, they don't have that kind of extra. They couldn't do the extras if we didn't have the Lux Center and the support for the Lux Center. So we've taken them on groups of students on 4 trips, 2 to the U.S.-Mexico border to learn about the immigration issue. We've taken a trip to Chicago for an interfaith immersion trip, and then we have a really powerful trip to Washington, D.C., where we studied criminal justice reform and political advocacy through the church. And that was really powerful. That's where we visited Dick Durbin and Sherry Bustos, and we were all super scared, but we did it. It was good. It was good for us. We've sent students to numerous special conferences. Again, this is fully funded. We've sent them every year to an Interfaith Leadership Institute in Chicago through Edu Patel's organization. We've sent them to a Festival of Faith and Writing conference at Calvin College. We sent them to a peacemaking conference. Again, all fully funded by the Lux Center that they couldn't have done without that support. And then we've run annual interfaith programs for the campus and community. Just this past spring semester, we did this really successful series called Islam 101. And it was we just recognized the need for more information in the general public and on our campus community about Islam. And so we had a whole series of discussions and where you could come and ask any question you wanted in a safe way. We did it anonymously. So that was really well received. We've sent, because we have religious diversity at Monmouth College, that's a real gift to us, especially with our international students. So we've sent panels, interfaith panels into the community at the churches, and it's really been great for the local churches to hear from these students of different religious traditions and ask them questions. And the last thing is just the Lux Center is really keeping religion as a part of the campus conversation, a part of the campus culture. You know, unless you're at like a conservative Christian college where faith is a given, academic space is a pretty secular space. And if you don't have something like the Lux Center, it's really hard to keep religion in the forefront and in people's minds as a part of the campus conversation. If we didn't have the Lux Center, I mean, that's what it provides for our campus. And what is great about doing it's just a positive way to do it. There's nothing heavy-handed about it. It's like, you know, here are some opportunities we can offer our students. Let's partner with our science department and do a religion and science lecture. Let's partner with our art department or do a religion and art workshop. And so it's just a really positive way to make sure that religion still has a presence at Monmouth College that I don't think we could do if we didn't have the Lux Center. So now, I'm trying to keep track of my time, but I just wanted to tell, this is a lot of words, and I wanted to, if I have time, I want to tell you 2 stories about 2 students that we've worked with, just to show you the impact that the Lux Center has had on our students' lives. The first student is a young woman named Diana. She grew up in Mexico. Because of economic hardship, her family immigrated to the States when she was 2. They moved all around trying to go through the process of becoming citizens in the States, which took years and a lot of expensive finances and trips to try to navigate that process. She got her green card just in time to apply for colleges. We got her, and we are so fortunate to have Deanna here. She and I got to know each other, and I ended up, she's interested in pre-law, and so I said, well, you should come on this Washington, D.C. trip with us, because we're studying political advocacy, and her faith was important to her. And while we're in Washington, D.C., we start talking about liberation theology that I studied in seminary. And more specifically, I said, you know, there's a specific theology for Latinas, and it's called Mujerista theology. Mujer means woman in Spanish, and so Mujerista theology is a branch of liberation theology that is the feminist Latina liberation theology. And so we started talking about it, and then we decided to read a book together over the summer on Mujerista theology. And Deanna, when she started encountering this theology, she said, Teri, this is rocking my world. I had never heard about this before. This is her, these are her people. I mean, and it's just saying, here, read this stuff. It's great stuff. And it just totally transformed her. She started calling another friend of hers who was Latina over the phone and reading the book to her. And then I said, well, why don't we, she was so excited, why don't you work for us as an intern next year? And your project can be to share this Mujerista theology with some other students. So she said, yeah, let's do that. She got to campus, she sent out an email. She immediately had 14 Latina students sign up to study Mujerista theology for the whole year. And I visited that group a couple times, and you know, again, here's another group of young people, mostly grew up Catholic, many felt disenfranchised by the church, and all of a sudden they feel like they have found a place for them in the church through this Mujerista theology. And they literally have said the words to me, the study was life-changing, revolutionary for them. They bonded as a group. You know, the election was very hard for them this year. Just happened that all this happened this year, and it was that group that they were able to talk and use that Mujerista theology to give them hope and to keep moving forward. And then it culminated in a spring break trip to the U.S.-Mexico border, which it just kind of all happened. And that trip then was kind of the icing on the cake for all those Latinas, that they got to have that experience and go to the border and home. So, I mean, it's just something that really, I think, if there's any good we're doing here, that's proof of it. And the other story I want to tell you about is about a young woman named Katie. And this is more typical for our Monmouth College students. We get a lot of students from small, tiny towns in Illinois. Katie didn't even think she was going to go to college. But she came to a youth day that we hosted a couple years ago for her pastor brought her youth group, and she saw the college. She said, I think I could see myself here. So she applied for a Presbyterian scholarship. She got accepted. She really, she was one of our bridge students, which was one of the students we were a little worried about academically, so we needed to kind of coax her along, but she was a Presbyterian scholar, and that gave her a community of really good students that started right away. A couple years into college, so Katie's father, just to give you an understanding, her father painted grain silos for a living. Her family members have never left their tiny town of Illinois. And her father actually died in her second year of a severe heart attack. Just from, you can understand the grueling nature of that work. But Monmouth College became that safe haven for Katie. And she also, we took her on the trip to Chicago, to that interfaith immersion trip. We took her on that trip to Washington, D.C., to that political advocacy. And I mean, we just kind of cry thinking about Katie because of where she started and now where she's come. She was one of our Lux interns last year. She would never have spoken in front of a group when she first got here. Now she's giving chapel messages, leading prayers, leading programs at the Presbyterian House. Her growth has been extraordinary, and that's the kind of difference it's made in her life. And it just, I can't tell you about Katie without like wanting to cry, because that's what makes it all worth it. It really does. Okay, and then here we go now to the big thing. Because we had the Lux Center and the structure of the Lux Center, and we had that seed gift, and we had all these things rolling, we applied for a Lilly grant, and we really got it because we had the framework that the Lilly grant would, we proposed this idea to have a 2-week summer theological institute for high school youth here at Monmouth. And because we had the Lux Center, Lilly had the confidence enough to give us a $452,000 grant, which is like, okay, you know. So the first thing we did was hire Jessica. Like, we can't do this by ourselves. It's been so fantastic to have Jessica on board as associate chaplain, but then she's also the director of this whole program, and we're gearing up. It's just a few weeks away. We're like, oh my gosh. We've got students coming. It's been amazing. We've got students coming from all over the country to this. We have 17 students registered. There's 2 coming from Washington State, 1 coming from California, 2 from New Jersey, 1 from Missouri. That's not far, but it still feels far away. Kentucky, and Illinois, of course. And they're coming. We've set it up, again, understanding who we are as Monmouth College Presbyterians, to study theology in light of a relevant world issue. So we do food and food security really well here at Monmouth. You'll probably get that tour. So each summer institute will be based on a theme, and this is Feast or Famine, thinking theologically about food and food security. And we're super excited about the launch of this. And it's just been, it's been a crazy ride. And so we're advertising it nationally. And the last thing I'm going to show you is a video that Dwayne Bonifer and the folks in communications have been really fantastic in helping us promote this nationally. And they helped us put together this promotional video. And I'm going to play it, and I want you to note that at the beginning, because we had J. Herbert Nelson here a few years ago, we just decided, hey, let's call up our friend J. Herbert, who's now like the head of the whole church. And would you endorse us for this video and this institute? And this is what we got.
Hi, I'm Reverend Dr. J. Herbert Nelson, Stated Clerk of the Presbyterian Church, USA. I come to you today to offer an opportunity to engage pertinent topics of theological inquiry, worship, practice, and service for young people at Monmouth College in Monmouth, Illinois.
So we're starting this Lux Institute, Summer Theological Institute for high school youth. And what it does, it helps us expand our opportunities from the Lux Center to a new group of high school students here in the summer. The ideal student, I think, that will be attracted to this Summer Institute will be that theologically curious young man or young woman in your church youth group, or who comes to church and is asking the pastor a lot of questions. So we're hoping churches will send their young people to us for 2 weeks in the summer to this Theological Institute, and then we can gift them back to the church as newly inspired leaders.
This program will take an opportunity to help young people to understand more about theological inquiry, to think through not only patterns of God in their own life, but to build a sense of how they apply to the events and also the actions that are called for in this day and age.
It has volition like human beings in that God is free.
For 2 weeks, these students will get to come here, have a real community building experience with other high school students and college students that'll be here helping shepherd them through the program. So they'll have a community building time where they get to set aside their activities from home and really contemplate big theological issues. You know, and I think to get that deep, you kind of need to set time apart and set yourself apart from the day-to-day life. And this institute really provides a great space and environment for them to do it. It's pretty inspiring to be here because it's beautiful and it's quiet, and we've got some great resources to offer them through the campus.
Monmouth College is college that is returning to its Presbyterian roots and giving declaration to the fact that somehow we have an opportunity to transform the world through today's youth.
I love that line. We have the opportunity to transform the world through today's youth. I mean, it gets me every time. So that's the end of my presentation. I think we have a few minutes left. I was watching my timer.
You're good.
See how good? I got a new clicker and it has a little timer on it. But if any of you have any questions for me, for Jessica, for Flat John Calvin, you know.
A lot of reflections about how different
Yeah.
what you have here
Yeah.
from 67.
I know.
I think that I came through at a time
Yeah.
when the church influence was at its bottom.
Oh, it's at its bottom. Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And so there's so much life in this and
Yeah.
so much investment behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been
Very-
it's been
very
a wild
moving.
ride. Yeah.
It's very moving.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, and Monmouth is a special place. I tell you, because you know it was. I think it was in the 80s there was a real shift across the country in terms of the Presbyterian denomination and her colleges, and it was sort of a mutual parting. The colleges didn't want to be sort of governed by the church, and the church was actually Presbyterian students were starting to go to large universities, and they were thinking, well, we should support some ministries at those large universities, and so their attention went elsewhere, and it just kind of was a mutual parting. And there's not many colleges that say, you know what, but this is still important to us, and we want to, you know, I'm just a big believer. Actually, Ibu Patel is the one. He comes to he goes to all these campuses. He says, do you not owe your founders anything? I mean, come on, they're the ones that gave you birth. You know, we owe those Presbyterians the acknowledgement and a presence on campus and explain their tradition. It's a win-win in my mind, especially with a tradition like the Presbyterian churches and the way we've shaped it here at Monmouth College. You know, it's different at each college, but the way we've shaped it here is, you know, something that's just a really positive thing, I think, for everybody. Yeah.
Where is the Lux Center located physically?
That is a good question. Right now, it's in my heart and mind. But we're looking for a spot, so if you just want to keep bringing that question up, I'm sure some higher-ups will give us a place. We do. It's just, yeah, it's on paper, it's
kind of based on
Yes.
the Weeks House.
Yeah, well, that's where our offices are in the Weeks House, and we have the Presbyterian House, but we do need a physical presence on campus, so that's a need, yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
I was a friend and colleague of Ave Maria Sassabia.
Are you serious?
So I'm so
This is the
pleased to
founder
know
of
that
Mujerista theology. Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful to hear.
And possibly related to that, is there any relation between your programs at the college and the meatpacking company and those people?
Yeah, no, actually, Jessica could speak to that, because the trip to the U.S.-Mexico border, we've been doing a lot on immigration as an issue, because there are so many immigrants in our community. There's like 8 or 9 different immigrant kind of nationalities and ethnicities represented in Monmouth. It's amazing. And they came back really fired up. There's a lot of interesting things going on, food related with those meatpacking. Do you want to speak to some of what you're doing?
Sure. So I think one of the big questions that was asked by students when we were at the border was, well, where are the immigrant communities in Monmouth, and how are we serving them and being inspired by their stories and caring for our neighbors in that way? And we sat at the U.S.-Mexico border and said, we're actually not sure what students are doing, what local churches are doing. And so I asked that question of local clergy, and it turns out the Catholic Church is the
Yeah.
biggest denomination invested really deeply
Foreign Languages is doing a lot. You probably came across this, Jessica, with placing people like in law enforcement as translators and also in banking, in local banking. So there are departments, faculty are leading the way on some of this, on how they do internships and where they're placing people to cause some of that interface to happen.
Yeah. Well, and we also have Professor Gaster from the Modern Foreign Language went on that trip, and he's been very active in finding immigrant communities and leading Know Your Rights workshops. That was through the Catholic Church, and he did something else with church members in the community, pairing them up with immigrants and having whole Know Your Rights kind of workshops and helping them kind of connect to, you know.
I think one of the wonderful things about the alternative spring break, so just as this example from the spring, we had business majors who came on the trip, we had language students, we had one religious studies student. They're coming from all of the different disciplines all over campus, and the Lux Center is a place that unites them in terms of the issues that they care about in the world. So they're in all of their separate departments, but then they come together with fresh perspectives and passions in a variety of different ways, and I think the world is a better place for that.
Yeah.
Is it great?
Another program I'm going to mention, because I'm just super excited about what's happening, is y'all have probably passed Hill Correctional on Highway 34 as our maximum security prison in Galesburg, and we're in the process of developing a teaching program. Monmouth College, we have 12 faculty members who have written a curriculum for the inmates to go through to help them pre-release and hopefully help the rate of recidivism. So that's another population that we've always been interested in serving. They're our neighbors. We all drive by them all the time, and security clearance is very difficult to get though, and so we're in that process of developing that program too. Yeah.
I've been accused of being planted, but, well, I mean, I see that you have your website, but
Yeah.
anybody that is a Presbyterian, you'll want to maybe look online, and also Teri or any of us in development or college relations have flyers, because your members could potentially apply for those scholarships.
Yeah, apply for the scholarships. You know, I mean, all of this is a ball that has just started rolling. I mean, it's only been 6 years here at Monmouth College. I mean, we really need the support and the interest of the alumni community if this ball is going to keep rolling. So if it's something you think is good that's happening here at Monmouth College, we can really use your support, really use you talking it up when you run into, isn't there like some other senior staff meeting coming up? You know, where you're gonna, you know, just, if this is something that you're interested in and you think is a good thing for the college, you know, your support, your enthusiasm for it will go a lot towards keeping this ball rolling. Yeah.
How large a group are you striving for the Summer Institute?
Oh, the Summer Institute. So we hit our first goal. We budgeted for 30. We have so much money. I mean, it's like we went to this Lilly conference, and and everybody's like, Lilly is kind of like getting a bag of money just dropped from the sky. But anyways, because it's just amazing. So we budgeted for 30. So we got 17 registered this year, which actually, you know, we were saying if we get 15, we'll be thrilled at that 30. But we're really hoping to build towards 30 with the understanding that high school students that are willing to give up 2 weeks in their summer to study theology is not a huge group, right? So to get, you know, 30 would be fantastic. It's blown us away that they're coming from all across the nation. I mean, that's blown us away. And then, of course, all of this is the hope that then they will love Monmouth College and want to come here in the future. Yeah.
Is it a specific age?
Yeah, it's rising sophomore through graduated senior. We did need some, it's going to be an academically rigorous program, so we needed them to be, you know, freshmen felt a little too early in terms of the level of maturity that we need. Okay, run out of time?
Oh, one more.
Okay. Endowments.
Are you aware that Pittsburgh Seminary has had this kind of?
I know, Jessica, just just talked to him on the
I
phone.
just talked to them on the phone, yeah, Derek and Aaron, I can't remember their last name, anyway, they've been, since 1999, I think. They've had a really extensive program, Derek and Aaron have been there for the last 10 years, and, it's a, similar,
Well, and Lilly has funded, you should know, so Lilly has funded, there's about 90 colleges and universities across the country that are doing these high school youth theology institutes. There's only 2 Presbyterian church related colleges in the nation. It's ours and Maryville College. And that's been a real huge boon for us in terms of our national reach and using our connections, our Presbyterian connections, then has been really helpful to us.
We're very proud of Reverend Dr. Ott. As you can tell, we have a tough time trying to get her excited about what she's all about. But
I kept it in my time frame though.
You did.
That's really good for me.
Can we give her another round of applause?